that was awful. I just ordered a coffee at Starbucks, so I need to run across the street and grab it. I don't know if it's ready yet though. Should probably give them a few more minutes. Maybe I'll wait after this batch. I just put a batch in the water. Hi, good morning. It's been a while since I've streamed last. I guess I just haven't had time in the morning. Been training. I guess a couple weeks ago I was training a new baker. So it's hard to stream when I'm training somebody. Hey, good morning. Hello. Sorry, I didn't notice you there. I was too busy cleaning my boards. My blackened boards. I think, well, these are pretty good actually still. Seem to be, still need to be rinsed one more time and they should be ready to go. My pot, I need to stir my pot. It's getting boily over here. Oh, okay. Okay, I gotta stir my pot, and then I can put these bagels on the table. I think these are. I'm gonna stir my pot. It's starting to get a little agitated here. Well, I have it a little bit too full too. I'll have to be careful. Those are ready to take out of the pot. I just need to give my boards one more wipe here. Okay, and I gotta I gotta put them on the table. Well, tight fit. My hands are a little bit cold. Nice. That's nice to know. That is exciting. Welcome to the steam pit. The steam pit in the Bagel Dome. I'm gonna go grab a coffee in a moment once I get these in the oven, and then I'll put another batch in the water, and then I should have a couple minutes to run across the street to Starbucks, where I should have a drink waiting for me right there, because I already ordered it online. Oh, the convenience of online ordering. I would probably drink far less coffee if there wasn't online ordering at Starbucks and Tim Hortons, whichever is closer to me at the time. I need strong coffee. I order a quad espresso in the morning. That's all I drink for the day. Try to limit my caffeine consumption to one. But it needs to be strong in the morning. Bagels feel a little tight. Dough feels a little bit tight. Crank the flame up a little bit, medium flame. Pump up the flame, pump it up, pump it up. Get this party started. Pump up the jam. I got my coffee. Ready to go. Hey, good morning. I just put my first batch in the oven like 5 minutes ago. Less than that. Maybe 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago. Just sipping on an espresso. Oh, that's strong. Hamlin towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied. But when begins my ditty? Almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's old ladles. Split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nest the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flaps. At last, people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty. And as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find the furry civic roads ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, for sure as fate will send you packing." At this, the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. "For a guilder I'd my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack with brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little to wonder his fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than a too long opened oyster, save when it knew his conjugal weakness for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips or smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked his way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table. "Please, Your Honor," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm, to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, mole and toad and newt and viper. People call me the Pied Piper." And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check. And that scarf's end hung a pipe. His fingers, they noticed, were never straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over the vegetable soul fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I fred the cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia the Nizam, of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished Marin corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe a while. Like a musical adept with low his pipe, his lips wrinkle, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkle, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes of pipe uttered, he heard as if an army muttered. The muttering grew to a grumbling, the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of houses came the rats tumbling. Gray rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript cherished, to Ratland Homer's commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous right into the cider presses gripe, and moving away pickled up boards, and leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice, sweeter far than by harp or by psalteries breathed, called out, "O rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just as a bulky sugar punch on, already staved like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just as methought it said, come bore me, I found the Weser rolling over me." You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells as they rock the steeple. "Go," cried the mayor, "and get long poles, poke up the nest and block up the holes, consult with carpenters and builders, and leave our town not even a trace of the rats." When suddenly up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace, the first, if you please, by 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders? The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too. For council dinners made rare havoc with Claret, Bolsel, Vin de Graaf, Hawk. And half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish. To pay this sum to a wondering fellow, a gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink. Once dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink. In a matter of money, put in your poke. But as to the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you all know, was a joke. Besides, the losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, "No trifling, I can't wait beside. I promised to visit by dinner time Baghdad, and accept the crime the head cook's pottage, all he's rich in, having left in the Calip's kitchen, of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I proved no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion, they find me pipe after another fashion." "How," cried the mayor, "do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a ribald, with idle pipe and vesture ribald? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst." Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe, the smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling and pitching and hustling, small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, like foals in a farm where their barley is scattering. Out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping round merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood, as if they're changed in the blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by. Could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street, to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. Howard returned from south to west, to Copperberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. can never cross the mighty top. He's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed. When all were in at the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No one was lame, and could not dance the whole away. And in after years, if you blame his sadness, he used to say, this dull in our towns since my playmates left, I can't forget the time bereft of all the pleasant sights you see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers put forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was bred a peacock here, their dogs were run a fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot be speedily cured, the music stopped and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate, a text which says at heaven's gate, opes the rich at as easy rate, as a needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said east, west, north, and south, to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, for the better in memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing piper tabor was sure for his future lose his labor, nor suffered they hostel or tavern, shocked with mirth the sweet so solemn, and opposite the place up the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, on great church windows, the same to make the world acquainted how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not omit to say, in Transylvania there's a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way of dress which their neighbors lay so stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were Japan, a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns, in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats, from mice, if we promise aught, let us keep our promise. The bagels are in the oven right now. Actually, I think I need to turn the heat up a bit here. Need a little bit more flame. So the first batch is in the center of the oven, and they're going to brown on one side, and then I'm going to flip them and brown them on the other side. My second batch is on the boards. We're letting them proof up a bit. That was the Pied Piper of Hamelin by Robert Browning. He's an English Victorian poet. I guess he saying he's Victorian goes. You don't have to really say he's English, but yeah. Yeah, Victorian poet. That's his poetic version of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. It's one of his. He's an excellent poet, but that's one of his finest. One of my favorites. The Pied Piper of Hamelin. I think there's a few versions of that story. I think the Brothers Grimm have a version. Yeah, go look him up. Robert Browning. Yeah, he also has a wife named Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and she was a really exceptional poet as well. I wrote an essay about one of her poems in university. I can't remember the name of the poem though. It was about a statue that becomes flesh, It was based on a Greek myth. Excuse me. Just cleaning my utensil here. The other baker, I don't know what they do. Their bagels stick. That shouldn't happen. If you're doing it right, your bagel should not stick to the paddle at all.
Let me tell you a story. There was once a young man named Roland Pye who played the recorder when he wasn't baking bagels. One day he was walking through a park and playing his recorder to rest a while from all his baking when suddenly he spied a corpse lying on the ground beneath a swarm of flies. He put down his recorder, walked over to the corpse, shooed the flies away, and covered the dead man with stones. Returning to his oven later that day, he found that his oven blade had gone on by itself, and already baked half the bagels he needed. From that day on, Roland Pye was the happiest baker alive. He'd bake until he was tired, then he'd pull his recorder out of his pocket while his oven blade went on by itself. But Roland Pye lived in a town whose mayor did not admire his skill and was jealous of his fame. So the mayor devised a plan to rid the town of Roland. In the beginning, he said that Roland was a good worker, but lazy. Next, he said that Roland baked a whole lot, but badly. Then he accused Roland of being a sorcerer. The people turned on him. Therefore, Roland Pye took his recorder and left his home behind. When Roland Pye came to a neighboring town, he went to all the business owners, but none of them would give him any work. Finally, he met an old busker and asked him for work to keep body and mind together. "Come along with me," said the old man, "and we will share alms." So Roland Pye and the old man started going around and singing. "Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how did you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your wealth, although it is golden and good for her health. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to preen. Your limbs are the nuts and cords of an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause for a thing that is yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are." Everybody gave alms to the old man, but to Roland they said, "What is a young man like you out begging? Why don't you work for a living?" "Nobody will hire me," replied Roland Pye. "That's what you say. There is a king with so many hungry soldiers that he'll pay good wages to anyone willing to feed them." So Roland Pye went to the king's kitchen and took the old man whose alms he'd been sharing. The oven had never been used by anyone. Roland mixed the dough, then he rolled it into rings, then he boiled them, dressed them with seeds, baked them until they're golden brown. Then he tossed them into a crepe to cool down. Whenever Roland wearied of baking, he'd play his recorder. And once he was weary of playing his recorder, he'd sing, "Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how did you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your wealth, although it is gold and good for her health. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to preen. Your limbs are the knots and cords of an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause for things that's yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are." Hearing the singing, a princess looked out the window. She saw Roland Pye and fell in love with him. But she was a princess and he a baker. The king would never consent to their marriage. So they decided to run away together. They fled at night in a boat. They were already on the high seas when Roland remembered the busker. He said to his beloved, "We must fetch the old man, since he shared his alms with me. We can't go off and leave him like that." At that very moment, the old man came up behind the boat, walking on the water as though it had been dry land. Reaching the boat, he said, "We agreed to divide everything we had, and I shared everything I own. Now you have the king's daughter. You must give half of her to me." At this, he gave Roland Pye the knife to cut his bride in two. Roland Pye took the knife in the trembling hand. "You are right," he said. "You are perfectly right." He was on the point of cutting his bride in two, when suddenly the old man stopped. "Stop! I knew you were a just man. I am the dead man, mind you, whom you covered with stones. Go now, and may the two of you always be happy." At this, the old man walked away on the waves. The boat came to an island rich in all good things, the princely palace awaiting the newlyweds.
Hey, hello.
Welcome to Bagelwood. Bagelwood. We're all stars now in the dope show. That doesn't need to be there. Yeah, it doesn't make sense until you see them come out of the oven, baked. All baked brown, golden brown. Ripening oven fruit in the flame garden. That's all I do. Is I ripen oven fruit in the flame garden. This is just one way of making bagels. I'm sure there's as many ways to make a bagel as there are kinds of bagels. There's New York style bagels, there's Montreal style bagels, there's probably Ukrainian style bagels, Russian style bagels. I don't know. There's probably thousands of ways to make a bagel. This is the Montreal Ukrainian way, because the Montrealers, they it was a Ukrainian immigrant that started making the Montreal bagels. So that obviously had to come from a European background, I guess. Has a European history. Or European origin. So these are Canadian. These are bagels made the Canadian style. Yeah, I was reading about the history of the Montreal bagel, and there's two Montreal bagel shops that are most prominent. I imagine there's other bagel shops there, but there's the Saint Viator Bagels, and which they said they started making bagels in the 1950s, and then there's Fairmont Hotel, and they claim that they started making bagels in 1919. But so Saint Viator's started out. They had the founder was Ukrainian, and then a bunch of Italians bought them out, and it's run by some Italian family. So yeah, bagels have been a multi-ethnic kind of have a multi-ethnic history, multicultural history, the fusion of cultures. And now it's come full circle. It's been North Americanized. North Americanized, Canadianized. I'm one of the Johnny Bagel seeds out there in the world, spreading the bagel joy. A Johnny Bagel seed, ripening the oven fruit in the flame garden. I didn't plant the seed. I just germinate them in the oven. Johnny Bagel seed. Johnny Bagel seed. That sounds sort of dirty, actually. I'm gonna stop saying it now. I've ruined that word. That bagel was overboiled. I could tell you another story, or recite another poem if you'd like. Only at 6 o'clock. I think I'm gonna be getting a coworker coming in pretty soon here. So I may end the broadcast abruptly. There was once a rich man who had just one son, and the boy was dearly loved by his father. As everybody knows, the greatest scourge on earth for a rich man is work. Therefore, when his son turned 14, the father decided to send him to school to learn the science of laziness. On the same street as the rich man, there lived a famous and highly respected professor who had never done a lick of work in his life he could get out of doing. The rich man called on him, and found him stretched out in the garden under a fig tree, with a cushion under his head, a cushion under his back, and a cushion under his buttocks. Before talking to him, I must first see how he does, said the rich man to himself, and he hid behind a hedge to observe the man. The professor lay as still as a corpse with his eyes closed. The only time he moved, was whenever he heard the thud of a ripe fig falling on the ground near where he lay. He'd reach slowly out, bring the fruit to his mouth, and swallow it. Then he wouldn't stir again until another fig fell. This is just the professor my son needs, decided the rich man. And he came out from his hiding place, introduced himself, and asked the professor if he'd teach his son the science of laziness. Old man, answered the professor just above a whisper, don't talk so much. It tires me to listen to you. If you want to bring your son up as you and I are, just send him to me. So the rich man went home, took his son by the hand, thrust a feathered pillow under his arm, and led him to the garden. I urge you, he told him, to do everything you see this professor of idleness do. The boy, who already had an inclination for that particular science, also stretched out under the fig tree. Observing his teacher, he saw him reach for every fig that fell and bring it to his mouth. Why should I work myself to death, reaching for figs, he thought. He lay there with his mouth wide open. Soon a fig fell into his mouth, and he let it go down slowly. Then he reopened his mouth. Another fig fell. This time it missed. He lay there perfectly still and murmured, why so wide of the mark? Fig fall into my mouth. Seeing how wise his pupil already was, the professor said, go on now. You have nothing to learn from me. You can even teach me something. So the boy went home to his father, who thanked heaven for having given him such a smart son. That was the science of laziness. Let's do some Rosemary Rock song. Yeah. I think I'm almost done. I gotta, my coworker's gonna be in pretty soon, I think. They usually come in between 6 and 6:30 here. If you're wondering, the name of the business is called Rosemary Rock Salt. We have 6 locations. 6, yeah. 2 on the North Shore in North Vancouver. Then we have 2 in Vancouver. 1 on Main Street, 1 on Commercial. And then we also have this one. This is the store. This one's in Ironwood Plaza in Richmond. And we also have another location in Surrey. One day, God said, this is what I'll do. I'll send down my son, I'll send him down to you to clear up this humpity-bumpity hullabaloo. His name will be Christ, and he'll never wear shoes, and his friends will all call him the King of the Jews. He didn't come in a plane, he didn't come in a jeep, he didn't come in the pouch of a high-jumping Govee. He rode on the back of a black Saskatoon, the blackiest creature ever to be used. He rode into Jerusalem, home of the grumpy Jews, where false prophets were worshipped, some even in tombs. There was Murray von Murrer and Genghis Vauvu, the one you could worship taking a snooze. Christ spoke from a mound, which was a pile of ground, and people gathered around as I'm making a sound. Thus he spake, sin in socks, socks full of sin. How shall we quiet this Jehovah din? Do unto others as others do unto you. That includes you, Timothy Foo. One Pharisee said to another he knew, what shall we do about this ugly Jew? Wash him in wine, make him all clean, and then into Sam Fiddle's crucifixion machine. Twirl the whirl and release the bees, and in go the nails as fast as you please. Instead he says, yet leaves his blood. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, because they walk into this world wearing two crap in his shoes. Do you? Amen.